Guitar Technique, Episode 10. In this episode, I'm going to cover ideas related to using string slides. Now, the string slide technique is one of the most popular techniques that guitarists use to change position along and across the neck. And when this technique is combined with, let's say, legato, hammer-on, pull-off ideas and that, it forms, kind of like the foundation, basically, for stretching out the way that we apply scale patterns along and across multiple positions of the fingerboard, if we're composing melodic ideas or if we're just improvising. So it would be considered one of the most important must-learn guitar techniques out there. So let's get things started here in this lesson, covering very smooth and connected ways that you can use to apply string slide technique on guitar. All right, well, the first thing we're going to do is just take a look at the technique in general. What is developing smooth string sliding? String sliding is done exclusively with your fingers. Sometimes people say slide, and then right away they're thinking of one of those glass or metal slides. It's a completely different approach, different sound. It's using another tool to get into the mix to make the sound. What we're dealing with here really are what you could also call position slides. We're rapidly moving quite laterally with these movements, and it's helping us shift positions and play scales and melodic statements in a much more along the neck fashion. Now, really, the trick to this, it all is based around the pressure and the feel of the string under your finger. So if you're making a movement with a slide, you're going to have to balance your finger pressure so that you don't have too much pressure, because that'll just, make the frets themselves feel like, speed bumps or something. It'll feel so awkward to move over top of them. But you also don't want to be in the respect of having so little pressure that you're going to lose the note and you're just not going to have any kind of resonance to the volume of the pitch. So, you'll have to find your own level of pressure. It's going to have to do with a lot of factors too that are definitely outside of my control and what I can discuss, because it's going to have to do with the string gauge that you have, the action setup, the type of guitar that you're playing, because it's going to feel different if you're on a Gibson or a Fender or an Ibanez or a Jackson or an ESP. Every guitar kind of has its own feel to it. So, there's a lot of factors to bring about. And, once you develop your skill set and once you have it all together as far as a basic technique goes, then you can really start trying to work on your upward and downward movements with your slide overall. Now, in exercise 1, I've divided up two directions. I've got exercise 1A, which is a more upward movement with sliding, and I've got also exercise 1B, which is going to take place with much more downward effect. Now, both of these slide, ideas we're going to be working on will operate on the second guitar string. Let's first of all begin here in exercise 1A, where I'm going to be sliding on the second string. And I'm going for, in the beginning of that exercise, if you have the handout, you can just look at it there in the tab, and it's showing second string 5 to 6. But then we're going to have a note that's going to come in secondarily. It's on the first string, and I'm going to play an 8th fret there. It's like we're sliding forward in the scale, but then we're grabbing a 5th interval from that note, like a power chord would be. Then we're going to move, again, going from 6 to 8, and then 8 to 10. and then 10 to 12, but then to finish things off, we're going to have a high G tone up at the first guitar string, 15th fret. So again, movements are all taking place on the second string, but we're tagging into those upper notes on the first string. Again. All right, so that's the work that you got to put into getting together exercise 1A. And then in exercise 1B, we're going in the reverse. We're going downwards with our slide technique. So we're going to be starting up high on the 15th fret of the second string, and we're going to be going down to tones, though, that are going to take place off the third string. Now, our first movement for our slide is going to go 15 to 13, and then we're going to have a 12th fret third string come in after that. Then we're going to move 13 to 12 and grab a 10th fret after that. 12 to 10 will come next, but then 9 underneath, and then 10 to 8, and then 7 down below. So a little bit different because we're moving downwards and we're getting some notes that are happening onto a string that's underneath. So remember now, pressure is everything. Another thing very important is targeting. So you're going to make the movement and you want to target and get into the right tone that's going to flow from there. So, continuously practice those movements, get them to be perfected, really work a lot. If sliding is new to you, work a lot on getting that pressure down. And, sometimes in the very early days of doing this work, it's best to have fresh, brand new, shiny, slippery guitar strings on your guitar. If you're trying to do sliding technique and you have really old guitar strings on your guitar and they're kind of like corroded a little bit and a little bit sticky to move your fingers along the fingerboard, then maybe it's time to switch strings out and get into a fresh set of strings. I think that in the beginning as well, I should mention that being on an electric guitar is going to be a much smoother, easier experience with this in the beginning. Not to say, of course, that you couldn't do it on an acoustic or maybe a classical guitar with the plastic nylon strings, but being on a thin-stringed electric guitar with fresh, brand new, shiny, smooth strings, that's going to be the easiest road to getting into doing, really smooth string slides along the fingerboard. So we're going to wrap up exercise 1 now. Take a short break. We'll come back in the next video clip and get into some slide studies that use multiple strings, again working diatonically around some chords. The chord harmonies that we had here in exercise 1, we're dealing with kind of like an A minor sound and also a C major sound. So you can, if you wanted to record some chord backing tracks, I guess you could do that, but it's not necessary. Really, it's about the technique here in exercise 1. So let's wrap this up and we'll come back in a moment with exercise 2. That was an excerpt from the 10th lesson in my guitar technique course. The remainder of this lesson is available behind a paywall on my website at creativeguitarstudio.com. But I thought you'd like to see this part, so I put it up here on YouTube for you to get a better idea about what this guitar technique course has to offer. If you want to subscribe to my website and gain access to this course, along with my introductory, intermediate, and advanced guitar programs, plus many more guitar courses on the website, just head over to creativeguitarstudio.com and sign up with a free lifetime membership to get started. You don't need a credit card number or anything like that. Just set up a username and a password and then you can get into the site. Later on, once you want more access, you can always upgrade to either a monthly or you could go for the discounted yearly premium all access membership plan. And if you have any questions along the way, you can always reach me by phone or email. Just click on the link in the YouTube description box under where it says become a member today. The Blues Guitar Styles eBook is a masterclass course covering a huge amount of information on the blues style. With 8, 12, and 16 bar blues progressions, classic blues styles, plus all the important chord patterns. There's over 50 pages of information, including sections on blues techniques like slide, alternate tuning, and bending. This ebook has everything the guitar player needs for a solid foundation in blues guitar, including 27 MP3 audio tracks for easy at-home study. Blues Guitar Styles is available for instant download in the View Our Products area at creativeguitarstudio.com. Thanks for watching part 1 of the lesson. Be sure to sign up for a membership at creativeguitarstudio.com to watch the remainder of this class. In other videos, we're going to work on multi-string slides, upward and downward slides, and mixing slide technique with legato. Plus, as a member, you'll also be able to download the handout for this lesson, along with many more professional guitar lessons.